Hey, good morning, guys. I had a couple of questions on our channel. Two of them was, well, some of the questions were asking questions about using a split tail, and also noticed a couple of guys having some difficulty when they're tying their Blake's hitch, setting it, and they're just having trouble getting it to hold. Now, one guy in particular, he was pretty sure that he was tying it properly. He was using Samson Predator rope. He said he was having, it wouldn't hold him. He said it kept sliding on him, and he thought, he was asking me is there something on the rope or something, and I didn't see how he did it. He was confident that he had it tied right, but he said that he ended up taking the rope and milking the rope, and then it worked fine. I'm not sure. I've never seen that happen before, but I'm not really sure what happened there. It's kind of odd. I guess if you're having trouble and you end up realizing that you have everything tied right, and if it still slips on you, try milking the rope and see if that helps. But I don't know. I was talking to Scott. Scott's been doing it for 35 years. He never had that issue either. But one guy, that seemed to work for him. He said that did the trick. But in any event, I just want to show you a couple things. I'm going to show you the split tail here real fast. What's a split tail? Split tail, I basically have here, I got a Samson Predator. When I ordered this rope, they sewed in a factory tight eye on one end. Okay, so that tight eye there is on my carabiner, and then I have a split tail. Now, this isn't a real good split tail, cheap one that I had here, but it's basically about a 5-foot piece of climbing line, and it's usually a special type of climbing line that's got good knot characteristics, but it's also heat resistant and friction resistant. So it works out really well, and that guy is on the same carabiner. One of the benefits of a split tail is if you're climbing, number one, you can see how nice and neat it is here. There's no knot, no termination knot, so it's nice and neat. Two, when you're climbing, if you had a limb in between your climbing lines and you got up to it, you could tether into the tree, make yourself safe, and then you could come off of this and pull your split tail off and get around that limb, clip back in, and continue climbing without having to retie your Blake's hitch. So that's a nice feature. And also, most of the wear and tear on your rope is in the friction hitch, so using a split tail, it kind of beats up on the friction hitch end of the rope. So over time, that's the part of the rope that's really going to be seeing the wear and tear. So some guys, when their rope starts to get really beat up, they'll just cut off that 5 feet, but now you got a shorter rope. If you use a split tail, you could just pull this off, buy another one, and you're good to go, and you still have your same length of rope that you had before. So that's split tails. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm going to do my best to show you how I tie this Blake's hitch and how I set it and dress the Blake's hitch. A lot of guys or not a lot of guys, but a couple guys have had some issues with this. So I'm going to do the best I can to show that. All right, very important factor when you're tying your Blake's hitch. Let me just get my paracord out of the way here. That's another thing too. When you get to your tree, it's always a good idea to pull your paracord out of the way, pull it taut around the tree, wrap it around the tree, and get it away from you, so you're not, when you're climbing, it's not in the way, wrapping up in your rope. But a very important factor when you're tying your Blake's hitch is the distance of the Blake's hitch from you. And it's important for two factors. The farther away that Blake's hitch is from you, the more efficient your climb is going to be. Because the farther that distance is, the more you get with each pull or each hip thrust. Okay? So I want that Blake's hitch to be the maximum distance away from me that I can have it, while still being able to reach it while sitting into my saddle. It's very important, because that's how you come down. If you can't reach your Blake's hitch, you can't come down. And I heard a funny story, a couple of guys that I met up with the other day, and I know I taught them that, but I guess they forgot when they were climbing, and the Blake's hitch was a little bit too far. He got up a couple of feet and then realized, like, I can't reach the brake hitch. How do I get down? And those guys were cracking up trying to figure out how to get down. But you know, it was funny because he had a partner helping him. But if you were all by yourself, you'd be stuck up there. It's like, you know, that's not going to be fun. That could be a little scary. So very important to make sure that that distance is within reach, but as far away from you as you can have it. All right. So now I'm going to show you how I tie the Blake's hitch. Do the best I can to. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. Let me just. All right. So I take my main line. I put my pointer finger on there, and I wrap my split tail or the end of your rope, whatever you're using, around it. That's one wrap. 2 wraps on my finger, and then 2 more above it. Okay? Total of 4 wraps. Now my finger's still in there. Then I take this end of the line and I pull it over. We call this the bridge. I pull that over the bridge and then behind the main line. And when I pull it around the main line, I pull my finger out. The reason my finger was in there was to leave a hole so that I could take this end and pull it up through. All right? So now, when you pull it up, you want to dress the knot. Basically grab both ends of the knot, and then I kind of squeeze it together, and I pull the slack through by pulling this end. Okay? Pull that. And then what I like to do when I dress the knot, it's going to look like that. I'll grab one end, the end where the bridge is, and then this end here, and just pull it tight. Okay? Now that's going to cinch up. You'll notice that the bottom wrap on this rope kind of cinches up. That's really the one that's doing most of the work, biting into the line and holding you. And then once I do that, what I'll do is I'll take my rope, I'll pull up my Blake's hitch, pull everything up taut, and sit into the rope. And I'll sit into it. And as I sit into it, when I sit, I can kind of see this bottom, I can kind of see this bottom wrap tighten up. I'll sometimes pull on this and just kind of make sure that this all tightens up good. And then once you sit in it, you know if you know it's going to hold you. Now it's holding me good. And there's kind of a bit of a finesse with this. I find that, you know, you don't want your Blake's hitch so darn tight that there's so much friction in there that it's a lot more work to pull your line through. So I want it to hold me. I want it tight enough to hold me, but I don't want it tighter than I need it to be. So you'll find that as you do this, you want to dress it up nice, pull it tight, and sit into it until it holds you. And once you're there, you should be good to go. Now, another good practice, if you're going to climb using just traditional climbing, where you're going to advance your Blake's hitch by with your hand, take your end of the rope, tie yourself an extra safety knot here on the end. Because this knot here, you don't ever want this thing to pull all the way through. It's unlikely that it would, but it's just a good practice to do that. And it gives you a little bit of control too, because if you can hold this, actually, if you were descending and you pulled on this actually acts almost like a brake and will help tighten up your Blake's hitch by pulling on this end. So Scott, when he descends, he can control his descent by tugging on this. I've always found that a little bit kind of weird. You know, I just never really got good at it. But what I like to do when I'm descending is, let me just speak on descending. Descending, you're going to take your hands, you're going to reach over the top of this knot. I hold the rope in between my middle finger and my forefinger and just gently pull down on the knot, and that's what's going to allow you to descend. But then the other end of your rope, I'll have, being I'm righty, I'm going to have one hand on the top of the knot. I'll take this other end and I'll control it with my left hand. I usually hold it down around my hip, and I hold on to it nice and tight, and I feed the line up through the Blake's hitch. So, you know, because once you break that Blake's hitch, it's going to want to pull you through it, and you're going to start to descend. If you let go, it should grab, but if you're holding on to this other end of the rope, you're controlling your descent. So you don't want to start coming down quickly. Some guys have talked about it's a good practice. You can take the other end of this line. It's a good idea to maybe grab a carabiner, clip your carabiner to your D-loop, one of your D-loops, and you can tie a munter's hitch on the end, on this end of the rope through the carabiner. Now you basically have a backup for descent. That's a really good idea to do. Honestly, I don't do it. I probably should. It's probably a safer way to do it. But you know, you can look into that. And then I've seen some guys talking about utilizing a figure 8 descender on it. I don't know. I learned without it, but it really is a good practice to maybe at least put a munter's hitch on it and catch that, because you've got a little bit of redundancy and some safety there, and then just feed it through. It's a little, you know, it's a little bit more work to set it up, but hey, if it's making you safer, I'm all for it. You know, it's really not a bad idea at all. So hopefully that's helpful. I'm gonna just do this one more time real quick and just show you how I dress the knot, and hopefully this will help answer any questions. Just going to tie it one more time for you guys and just show you how I dress it. Alright, so let me just get right in front of the camera one more time, nice and close. Finger on the rope. 1 wrap. 2 wraps. 2 above it. Over the bridge. Around the back of the main line. Pull my finger out. Take the end of the rope that's coming around the back of the main line, pull it up through. Okay, it's going to look like that. And now when I dress my knot, I basically grab both ends and pull this at the same time so that it tightens up. And then I'll take this end of the rope, the tag end, and then the bridge, and just kind of pull them tight and dress it at the same time so that it kind of stays on top of itself. So it's nice and neat. Almost looks like a prusik, right? And this bottom wrap, you'll notice that when you sit into this, when I sit into this, I'm going to pull this up nice and tight, and I'll kind of grab this end of the rope here and pull it across and grab all 3. Sometimes you got to tug on each one just to kind of keep it all dressed nice and tight. I'll pull it up. Sit into my saddle, and I can actually see that bottom wrap kind of bite into the rope, and that's how I know it's good. Then tie my backup, or a little safety knot in here. Good practice to put that in there, and let's just see if this works. Works like a charm. That's it. Alright, so hopefully that answers your questions. If you have any other questions, put them in the comments section, and try to help you guys out if you have any issues. But, you know, check out on YouTube, and listen, I always say it's a really good idea to get some formal training on this stuff. I'm giving you as much information as I can, but I'm not an instructor. I'm just sharing what I've learned. There's probably a lot better people out there that can give you better instruction and information than I can. So seek that out, okay? Alright guys, so climb safe and best of luck.